You're watching ChillyBoy Productions. I'm Larry ChillyBoy Chilson, and this is my review for Minions: The Rise of Gru. Before we get into this review, make sure to go ahead and click that subscribe button down below so that you can chill with me on each and every one of my latest videos. Minions: The Rise of Gru follows a young Gru in the 1970s as he seeks to join his favorite supervillain group when an opening arises. However, when things don't go quite as planned, he learns that even he must sometimes rely on his unlikely little friends for help. So we're back with another film in the Despicable Me universe. We already have 3 Despicable Me films, and this is our second Minions film with at least a Despicable Me 4 on the way. When you look at the box office receipts, when you look at the merchandising for these Minions, it's not hard to see why Illumination keeps pumping out content on their most popular characters, the little yellow pills we call the Minions. While their fumbled up little language certainly speaks to younger audiences, well, it's left much to be desired, in my personal opinion. I've never been a big fan of any of the Despicable Me films, and I didn't really care too much for the first Minions. So, well, needless to say, I wasn't really looking forward to the Rise of Gru either. But those little trailers actually started to get me on board. These little vignettes from old school style, like drive-through parking ads, to their crossovers with Jurassic World. All of these little funny, fun little vignettes actually made me much more excited to check this one out. Then I saw a lot of people who don't typically like the Minions actually really enjoyed the film. Needless to say, I walked into that theater with my interest piqued. And ultimately, The Rise of Gru is fine. One I'm really going to remember anytime down the road, but I could certainly think of worse ways to spend an hour and a half of my time. So let's go ahead and talk about the positives first. Well, my biggest positive is that this has the most beautiful animation from Illumination Studios. Relatively new animation powerhouse is pretty famous, infamous, I don't know, however you want to look at it. Really good at making their films at a really small budget. And that often leads to big, kind of cartoon-ish, to the max looking films. While Minions certainly has those big, exaggerated type of animated stylings that we've come to know from Illumination, there is some detail work in this film that far exceeds anything I have personally seen from the studio, whether it be the landscapes or just this really beautifully detailed pink sparkling car that they feature. Animation is stunning and really showcases how far the studio has come since that first Despicable Me film. I also think it's the most streamlined film since probably that first Despicable Me film. Particularly coming off of Despicable Me 3, which felt like a bunch of short episodes of television mashed together into one hodgepodge. It was really refreshing to get a film under an hour and a half that just had a pretty seamless through line. The different pieces of this story fit together nicely. They all centered around one central plot that made sense. So it didn't feel like we were just throwing insane random elements in here for no reason. And I loved the little minions in this movie. What the film gets right is that the minions are not really our pure focus. Even though this is titled a Minions film, it certainly is Minions and Gru. I would say they're pretty much equally our central characters here, but it leaves the minions to serve as that kind of comedic relief as we move throughout. They're not like the central focus that are on screen, start to finish. And that's where they work best, as it being side comic relief. And that's pretty much how they behave in this film. And I think they have some really, really fun funny jokes throughout. The animation on them was actually adorable, and it further made them actual characters that I started to empathize with and bond with, rather than these funny little pills that speak fresh Spanglish. And finally, our voice cast was great here. I really enjoyed that the pretty big name celebrities that joined on for this film were totally on board. Taraji P. Henson was just having a blast, and you could hear it. Michelle Yeoh was having a ton of fun. And then Alan Arkin, I actually thought was pretty great in his voice acting role. So then, what doesn't work so well when it comes to the Rise of Gru? Oh, I do think that it just is a little too light on the actual story itself. So while it makes sense in comparison to the others, the bit of the other end of the spectrum with most Illumination films. It's easy breezy. There's nothing really to think about here. The emotions don't really hit hard in any sort of fashion. There's not much beneath the surface to truly grasp onto when it comes to the Rise of Gru. It's like the definition of a time passer. Put it on in the background. You don't have to pay attention at all to it. You don't really have to know what's going on. Maybe hear a joke here or there, and that's about it. So, for a film that is under an hour and a half long, I do think that second act really starts to drag a bit. We also have a lot of ridiculous conveniences, but I won't hold that too much against them. It happened in this like second act stretch where we really start feeling like, okay, the jokes aren't coming nearly as fast and furious as I would like them to. I actually was in a theater full of kids, and they seemed excited at the end, like they clapped and got hyped. But honestly, I didn't hear them laughing all that much in the movie theater. I also didn't hear them talking, so clearly they were invested in what they were watching. But they didn't seem to be laughing as much as I had anticipated. I think that's a problem because overall, I don't think the film is as funny as I would have wanted it to be. But overall, Minions: The Rise of Gru is perfectly fine. It's a serviceable watch for the full family. It's short enough that it doesn't overstay its welcome for adult audiences. It's flamboyant and energetic enough. Plus, it features minions that I do think kids will enjoy this film. So if you're looking for something to do with the full family on a Saturday matinee time, definitely give Minions a shot. But if you've never been a fan of this franchise and don't have a little one pestering you to go, well, you honestly could just skip this altogether. So that was my review for Minions: Rise of Gru. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below and subscribe to the channel so that you are always up to date on all of my latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see Minions: Rise of Gru, or have you already checked it out? If you have, let me know your thoughts either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your continued support. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.